I go by the name of FA, Big 604, classes in session. I want to introduce you all to the urban scholar himself, Yusuf. Class in session.
Class is in session, yeah. Class is in session. Class is in session. Ask me a question. Class is in session. Class is in session. Class is in session. Ask me a question. It gets massive in seconds. I'm on tech.
Welcome to Class in Session. I'm your host, it's the Urban Scholar. We back with a nice topic for tonight. And tonight's topic, it's Monday. We want to keep in theme with mental health. So I always want to make sure that every Monday that we're addressing some type of mental health related topic. And tonight, I felt this topic was kind of important because it's connected to relationships, no matter whether it's family, spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is you call it, regular friends, BFFs, whatever you want to call it. We're going to talk about standards and why are standards important in relationships. Standards are important because people tend to take relationships for granted. They tend to have these unrealistic expectations from their family or friends or significant others. And these expectations they only live in that person's head. They don't necessarily communicate or connect to the actual person or persons where the expectations are placed. So let me give you an example. So if you've been in a relationship and say it's been 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years, you probably take advantage of each other. There's probably an unacknowledged expectation. And there's also probably a lot of situations where you are being taken advantage of or taken for granted, and you're probably taking that person for granted as well. So let's get more specific. If a person has presented themselves to be a certain way for a period of time, you've been in a 10-year relationship, or you've known this person since high school or whatever the case may be, and then you decide you want to do something different. That has nothing to do with them. It's just something that you decide you want to do. That person may look at you and challenge you. That person may look at you and find fault in you because you're now changing. And what that really means is, let me translate that for you. You're making them uncomfortable, right? Because they don't recognize that you. And if they don't recognize it, it becomes a challenge for them to accept that person, right? And that's where issues are really going to start to come into play, because you're going to be battling for this independency to be who you are, and that person's still going to be operating the same way. And it's going to become a conflict for you or that person who's evolving and changing and now doing different things. 9 times out of 10, family and friends don't transition and change with you. We have public examples of friends who grew up together or knew each other in school, like LeBron and his crew, how they each have their own business ventures with him, and they're all been positioned and successful, right? That's like a fairy tale. It happens, but it doesn't happen that often, right? He has established relationships with guys he's met in the NBA where they become friends, right? And they spend a lot of time together with each other and their families and their children, right? That's the exception. In your situation, those who are listening to this, you probably don't have that. You have regular friends and family who are not contributing anything to what it is that you're trying to do, but have everything to say about it. And they're going to hold you in a headlock. And it's not because they don't want you to change, it's because they're afraid of who you might become. And they won't recognize that person, and they don't recognize that person. And it makes them uncomfortable inside. And we all know people don't want to be comfortable. We don't want to be uncomfortable. We want to be able to continue to be the way that we are. See, unfortunately, that's not how life works. We all should be evolving, but many don't. And there are many reasons why that's not happening. And that's tapping into other things. Because each individual has to look inside themselves to find out what it is that's holding them from growing. I know a lot of 40-year-old kids. I know a lot of 50-year-old kids. I know a lot of 25-year-old kids. So it's very important that when you're making your transition or you're embarking on a new venture and it requires you to be a different you, it requires you to change and evolve, and those around you are not doing it with you, you have to develop some thick skin and you have to have a certainty that this is what you want to do, and you have to put yourself in environments and around people who are doing that or have done it, right? And where you can learn faster. Because the longer you stay on your own trying to figure something new out, you're going to be in this journey for a long time. And I'm speaking from experience because I'm what you call a popular loner. So people see me socially, right? But I spend a lot of time in retreat with myself. And I've always sought out mentors. But I read a lot of books, and those authors have become my mentors. But in the real world of business, it's your relationships that make the difference. So you can be in your journey for a long time. You can be elevating, and you can be making minimal progress, or you can be making good progress. But relationships change your outcomes. So if you're in a relationship with someone and you're trying to break some type of generational curse, or you're trying to break into some type of business and they're not transitioning with you, at some point, this thing is going to meet up. And each of you are going to have to make some decisions about what's important to you and what it is you really want. And how bad do you really want it? Because you have to form and develop those relationships that are needed to further what it is you're trying to do. And that's going to require you to meet some new people. And those current people might get a little jealous. And when you're not answering their calls, or they start to make all these assumptions about, you're changing. Let them think and say whatever they want to think. I don't really care what anybody thinks about me. Why would I? Why would you let people rent space in your head? Why does what anybody think about you really matter? Why does it hold any weight? What are you getting out of that? That's actually causing you more problems and more issues. For your own sanity, get yourself a blueprint. Write down what it is you want. Read some books. Go on YouTube, Google, watch some videos, right? Get familiar with that subject, that topic, that venture, right? And reach out to people, social media, whatever the case may be. And connect with those, join groups. Facebook has tons of groups, right? There's many different opportunities out there, but do not ever feel like you need to tiptoe around people or change who you are or becoming because you want to accommodate those around you. Because that's a recipe for disaster. Class in session. I'm your host, The Urban Scholar. I hope you guys learned something tonight. And remember, the future's Urban Scholar.
I by the ABFA, Big 604, class is in session. I want to introduce you all to the urban scholar himself, Yusuf. Class in session.
Class is in session. Yeah. Class is in session. Class is in session. Ask me a question. Class is in session. Class is in session. Yeah. Class is